What, Al? I know, I just been busy lately. You know, school, work, life in general. What, should I do like a scary movie? Okay then, what do you suggest? Why do you want me to talk about Silent Hill? Just the movie? Not the game? Well, you can't have one without the other. Fine. Where do I start? Okay. So Silent Hill begins with Rose DeSalvo deciding to take her daughter to Silent Hill, where she's been dreaming about. Sharon, her daughter, has been dreaming about. Sharon has never been to Silent Hill before. Nobody even has heard of Silent Hill before. So what does Rose do? Take her to Silent Hill. Simple enough. Take her to the town that possibly her daughter is from or near or somehow heard and had nightmares about. But there's one catch. The whole town is closed off due to an underground mining fire that started about 30 years before the film. Now keep in mind, the film was made in 2006, so technically everything that you see in the film with the past was in the 1970s. So that's why when I say 30 years ago, even though right now in 2018 is technically 40 years ago. But I'm still going to say 30 years ago because that's what the timeline says. So don't mistake it for the 80s. Just think of it as actually 40 years ago. And, let's see. So after being confronted, no, I don't want to say confronted, but also pulled over by Sybil, who's played by Andrea from The Walking Dead, Rose decides to drive away from being pulled over from the police officer. After noticing that the town of Silent Hill was nearby, notices the gate and warning signs say, "Don't go there, it's dangerous." She drives to the fence and keeps going until she gets in a car accident trying to avoid a little girl on the road. Rose wakes up in the other world, which is this foggy kind of dimension that is similar to our world, except it's more like purgatory. And no, not like purgatory from Supernatural, although that'd be a little bit cooler. Although there are monsters in the other world. Let's see. But, so she also wakes up to find that Sharon, her daughter, is gone. And so the rest of the movie is just her looking for her little girl, while meeting with Sybil once again, who promptly arrests her for what she did. And I'm sorry, I'm on Sybil's side on this. Like, you should not have pulled away. But I'm also on Rose's side of saying, something is seriously wrong with this town. We need to find my little girl and get out of here. And trust me, I was getting frustrated with her with Sybil when she arrested her and is like, why are you not listening to me? Something is seriously wrong with this town. And then she meets Dahlia Gillespie, who from my understanding, is very different from the game, in which I will get into later. Because the whole plot is similar to the game, but they took liberties with it. Notice massive air quotes. Let's see. So Dahlia tells her that Sharon is her daughter, in which she doesn't quite believe her. And then after spending a day, after hearing the sirens go off and them hearing and seeing all these monsters, the hell version of Silent Hill, they meet up with this cult who at first thinks they're witches, which I was so confused about. But they promptly explain, no, we're from the outside world. We came here by accident and we're looking for my little girl. At first, because they didn't know who Sharon looked like to them, they decided to help her, saying, you need to go to the demon. And honestly, the leader, Christabella, I think she kind of knew what she was doing. She was helping them, but at the same time, she knew probably the demon would kill them, so that's why she sent them anyway. She was like, we can get rid of these strangers with the demon. And so they take them to the hospital where the demon lives. And as soon as they open Rose's locket that one of them somehow got, they realize Sharon looks like a girl from 30 years ago who they burnt alive. They proclaim them as witches and tries to kill them, and Sybil makes a sacrifice by getting Rose into the elevator, fighting off the men, closing the elevator, forcing Rose to go downstairs, revealing that she did not have any bullets in her gun when she used it, and let them beat the crap out of her. Good job! Anyway, so Rose makes this journey into the hospital, and after going by some of the nurses, which looks more like the Silent 2 nurses instead of the hunchback nurses that we usually see in the first game. She's distracted with the light, so I'm just wondering, like, okay, are they just part fly? Are they attracted to light like flies or something? She gets there and the demon says, congratulations, Rose, you get to know the truth. And she sounds like Sharon. Keep that in mind. She sounds like Sharon. And they do show what the demon looked like beforehand, but she never put two and two together until this very moment. So you agree to what happened 30 years ago, where there was a young girl named Alyssa, who is the daughter of Dahlia. And she's picked on, she's ashamed, and shunned by everyone because she was born out of wedlock and nobody knows who her father is. So they kind of proclaim her as the witch. In fact, the children, you can hear them chant saying, burn the witch, over and over. So apparently you're a witch if you're born out of wedlock. I'm so confused by this. So anyway, one day, Alyssa runs into the bathrooms where the janitor is there. She wanted to go cry, but everything turned into the worst when the janitor sexually assaults her in the bathroom. Now, rather than closing down the school for the day and looking for this janitor that does this to this little girl, and take Alyssa to the hospital to see if she's alright, they decided to burn her alive. And Dahlia claims she was tricked, thinking that, oh, they're going to purify my daughter because she was attacked. But no, she was tricked into giving her daughter to them so they could burn her alive. And an accident occurred where the hotel caught on fire. There was probably some deaths, but Alyssa survived the fire, but she was severely burned, and they think she was never going to make it because she has severe fourth degree burns all over her body. And then in this scene also you see a reference to Lisa Garland, one of the characters you meet in the first game. But they didn't actually name her. They're like, oh, she's just this nurse who got too curious. And Alyssa's hate grew for everybody except for her mother. And there's a line that tries like to shrug it off, saying like why she didn't hate her mother, which I think in my mind, I think Alyssa knew that her mother did not know they were going to do this to her. Anyway, and then the demon appears, or Dark Alyssa appears, and it's very hinted that it might be the devil, it might be Lucifer, but considering I watched too much Supernatural, it could be it could be just a random demon claiming to be the devil, and that to gain more popularity, or just to convince Alyssa to do this. But for now, we're gonna call it the demon Dark Alyssa. And Dark Alyssa offers her a chance for revenge, and so does the world of Silent Hill that we see in the movie has been created. And apparently, Dark Alyssa has been wanting to go into the church to seek out revenge for Alyssa. Now, how does Sharon fit all this? Why does Rose and Sharon fit all this? Well, sometime later, Alyssa decides to send the good part of herself, whatever is good left, out in the world so she can experience what having a normal, happy family is like. So Sharon was born, and she was adopted to the DeSalvos. So Sharon is the good part of Alyssa that Alyssa sent out. I was really confused about this as well, but pretty much they're like soul twins in a sense. I'm not really sure, but they're like, it's time for this nightmare to end. I need your help to get into the church because their faith prevents me to do this. So Rose agrees and decides to absorb Dark Alyssa. It's very like Dark Alyssa hugs and forms into Rose as Rose hugs her, and it sounds like she's about to burst into a million pieces. And then Rose goes to the church, revealing that before she does, revealing that the church has got Sharon. They found Sharon. They took her away. Dahlia has been hiding Sharon from the cult. It's not a church. It's a cult. And Sybil is still alive, but they decided to burn her, claiming she was a witch. And they do this in front of Alyssa. Not Alyssa, Sharon. Now, yeah, but I'm confusing everything. Before they could burn Sharon, Rose comes in trying to tell them the truth, basically, saying, you guys have been lied to. You have ruined an innocent girl's life because you were scared. Because Chrisabella, who is also Alyssa's aunt and Dahlia's sister, has led you to believe that she was a witch. Has led you to think that burning her will help you. Of course, nobody listens. Like, after 30 years and of that, it's going to be rather difficult to believe anybody. Especially with a crowd like that. Well, that was really weird. So it ends up that Chrisabella is calling her a heretic and had stabbed Rose in the heart. And as Rose bleeds out, Dark Alyssa was able to get in. And Alyssa, the one who's wrapped in the bed, she looks like a mummy. I was like, when I first saw that, I'm like, you look like the mummy if they burn the flesh instead of having scribes eat them. And it's a pretty, I gotta admit, it's a really gross scene that I've seen in that. And to the point that honestly I had to look away, to be honest, because it was very creative how they did it, but two, it was very graphic and with like barbed wires everywhere sticking out everywhere. And Sharon is saved. Rose and Sharon were able to find a safe place to hide. Dahlia was able to find a place to hide. And Dark Alyssa was able to merge with Sharon, who is now suggested that they're now one again. Okay. And then the film ends with Rose leaving this church and Dahlia asking why she was spared. Now this is what the whole, they mentioned this line before. But this was really what hit hard to me, like, okay, that's what the message they were going with, even though it completely missed the point of one of the characters that you have really in the film. Mother is God in the eyes of a child. Okay, that is an actual quote that has been said many times. It is actually true. Mother is God in the eyes of a child. But the thing is, what makes me mad about it is that Dahlia in the video game is the whole reason why Alyssa's burnt. And it was not because she was tricked. She was the one who enacted that Alyssa would be burnt. And I'm going to go into the plot of the game and then finishing up the plot of the movie real quick. Because this is what makes me question everything. In the game, the whole reason for it, for all the events, is that Dahlia was the high priestess of the cult. She had a daughter. They don't specify if she was married or not, but still. Alyssa had these psychic powers where she could move things with her mind. She could she could do so many things with her powers. But she was also ostracized from everybody. She was an outcast. Her only friend was Claudia Wolf, a girl 2 years younger than her. At one point, they decided Alyssa was strong enough to able to be an incubator for their god. And so, in order to test that, or as part of the ritual, it was never made clear to me. It might be clear in the later games, but it was never clear to me at this point of this video that they burnt her alive, and she survived it. And even though they faked her death, the town thinks she's dead. And it is kind of explained that Silent Hill is still a resort town, but the world that you're in the video game is separate from that world. It's like the 3 levels. There's Earth, Purgatory, then Hell. So it's kind of like that, and it's the same in the movie. It's the same. Anyway, but it was Dahlia who had done this. It was Dahlia who set forth the events of the game. In the film, she does kind of set off the events, but the thing is, they play it off as she's also a victim as well in this, and that Chrisabella is the bad guy. Chrisabella doesn't even exist in the video game series. Nobody has ever heard of Chrisabella. And she just takes over Dahlia's role. If you want to hit that hard of the mother is God, and probably have some symbolism, and it might be a little stupid, but if you want to go with the more feminine protagonist, because in the game it was a man named Harry Mason who you played as, But if you want to drive home like the polar opposites, instead of someone who's taken inaction and someone who's taken action, do this instead. Have Dahlia still be the one who enacted everything. She was involved with the plan, and that even though she was, if you want to go with that, she feels guilty angle, that's fine. Have her feel guilty about what happened. It shows the point that, like, even people who've done bad things, they might feel guilt. So I know some people don't feel guilt what they did, but show them. But with her, if you do want to have her show guilt, have her show some guilt, saying, "I regret what I done, but it was to purify her." Like, cause literally, like, again, the reason why they thought she was witch, because she was born out of wedlock, and that she was assaulted. So if you want to play up that angle, do that. But if you also, say that she still is going to continue doing this to her daughter, because Alyssa was actually in the game kept alive 7 more years, and through pain and suffering, to able to give birth to their god. And Alyssa figured that out, so she split her soul in half and sent her soul away, which is the daughter you're looking for in the game. Or have, like, Dahlia has no guilt at all. She's the same as the game. It's just that Rose is probably a better mother than her, because she puts her daughter first over anything else. Show the difference between the two mothers. And again, they do show the difference between the two mothers, as Dahlia's in action to do anything. Wait, she does one thing. She goes to the police and tells them, "Hey, they're burning my daughter alive, help me." But she still does nothing. She doesn't really do anything. She questions everything. And all she is there for to give an ominous warning about the cult. I'm sorry, that makes me mad. Like, there's probably a better way to show. And if you want to use the line, "Mother is God in the eyes of a child," do it. Use that. Say, "Hey, Alyssa saw you as the one person who could protect her, and you failed. Or you ignored it, and that you chose to do this." Instead of it's just like, "Mother is God in the eyes of a child." I'm still confused, like, why? Why? Why did they choose that? Like, is it because, like, oh, we decided to create a very feminine character instead of choosing a Harry Mason who has feminine traits? I'm sorry, but why? Why? And it's especially funny because the studio wanted more male characters in there, and that's why Sean Bean's character is shoved in at really random places. Although it does give a neat effect, saying, okay, so the other world is affecting the real world. So that's a really interesting thing, because at one point it's like, "I smell my wife's perfume. She must be nearby." When in fact they're in the same location, just in 2 separate entities of the world. So the film ends with Sharon taking Rose home. Well, not Sharon. Rose taking Sharon home. But the thing is, they're still in the other world. So they're in the other world version of the house, where they possibly will never get out, and Chris is left alone, with the possibility of people thinking that he killed them. What can I say about this film? The story is a mess. I'm sorry. It is like the bare bones of the story in of the video game. But the thing is, I do give praise for is the atmosphere. I feel like they got the atmosphere of Silent Hill correct. It is creepy. It is ominous. You don't know what's on every turn. Another thing is that the sets are amazing. They're like, you can tell they put so much detail of what the video game looked like and put it on the big screen. There's like a lot of detail goes into this. The acting is, I want to say, amazing. Even the little girls, everyone rags on the little girl. I think she did fine. Especially for a girl her age, I think she did fine. But my problem is the writing. The writing is really like, it's like, I know they put their heart and souls to make a Silent Hill movie. From what I've been told, that the director had to beg to get the film rights for the video game from the studio, because the studio felt like if they do a video game adaptation of their, not a video game, a film adaptation of their game, it's gonna go wrong, because video game adaptations into film has never been really good. Look at Super Mario Brothers. Look at Doom. It's not had a good track record. Now you notice I don't put in Tomb Raider. I have different opinions on it. That will someday go soon. But still. But it looked like they put their heart and soul. But if it weren't for the fact that the studio had, in the script, has been changed so much, it would have been a and it was, okay, it's kind of a faithful adaptation. But it's not faithful enough to be considered a faithful adaptation. It has some elements of the story correct. It has elements from future games, from the other games in there as well. Like, you'll see Pyramid Head of all things in there. Pyramid Head is only seen in the second video game until they decide to shoehorn him into another video game later on. Because people are like, oh look, Pyramid Head, Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head represents it represents something else that hasn't do with Silent Hill, the first game. It had to do with the main protagonist in the second game. And that's why he was there. He was unique enough for that character. And the only reason he's in the film because, like, oh, Pyramid Head, you gotta have Pyramid Head in there. He's one of the more famous things in Silent Hill besides the ominous fog in the town itself. The one thing they did right, though, is that they kept it to where without Alyssa Gillespie's story, you will not have Silent Hill. That, I believe they did right. And I'm sorry I went on so many tangents, but the writing in this film makes me mad. Okay, Al, I did it. I did a review of Silent Hill. It's not a very good one, but I did it. What? No. No. No, 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 no. I'm not doing that. No, no. Now I'm gonna have to do it. Thanks, Al. Thank you. Thank you so much.